So I've gotten a ton of requests on how to study without motivation and how to be motivated all the time as a student. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Katkov. I'm the founder of UofTearless. I study psychology. I'm in the psychology specialist program. I study memory enhancement and adaptive learning, but a lot of that is positive psychology, and it actually touches a lot on motivation and optimal states of consciousness. First of all, we need to define motivation. Motivation to me is the want to pursue something that you don't have. And a lot of students are trying to address the wrong problem, where they're spending more time actually trying to be motivated so that they can study instead of figuring out how to study when you're not motivated. Nobody ever asks you, how do I study when I'm motivated? And so why wouldn't you spend more time trying to figure out how to study when you're not motivated, actually doing the work without motivation first, because then you will be able to do the work no matter what. You're not going to be motivated all the time, and that's okay. Objectively speaking, do you need to be motivated to do work? No, you do not. You absolutely do not. It helps, but is it a requirement? No. You know, if university was easy, everybody would be here. You're expecting it to be hard by coming here. You're accepting that it's going to be hard by coming here. Why? Well, because you worked really hard in high school to get here. If you thought it would be easy, well, then clearly you need to adjust your expectations a little bit. But if you thought it would be difficult, good. This is what it feels like for something to be difficult. Don't try to spend your whole life trying to make it easy when the fact is it's not, and it's never going to be, and you actually don't expect it to be. Because life satisfaction, you know, if you learn from positive psychology, life satisfaction is pretty much all due to perception. And if you think, oh, this is good, this is hard because it's making me better, then your life is going to be a lot better because you're always improving. You wanting something that you don't have so that you can get something that's right in front of you doesn't make sense, because the reason we're not motivated to work is because work is right there. It's always there. It's always going to be there. You never have an absence of work. But there is something called psychic entropy, which is when you have no goals, you have no dreams, and you're just out there alone in the world drifting. You know, this has been argued to be the brain's default state, but the brain actually craves structure and it craves stimulus and stress. And when you don't have any of that, it just doesn't know what to do, and you get very depressed. And so you actually want to do work. Work is a requirement for progress. And there's actually a lot of studies on the science of happiness, and in work, there are only two things that you need. One, you need to feel like you earned it, and two, you need to give back to the community and feel like you're actually helping people make your work worthwhile. That would be the way to make your work more motivating. But you don't need motivation to work, you can get motivation from working. To make your work more motivating and to make studying more motivating, you need to see that your efforts are making progress. And a lot of you're doing a lot of the wrong thing. You're doing a lot of rereading notes, you're doing a lot of rewatching lectures, both of which are very passive ways of learning, and they're a complete waste of time, in my opinion. One quote that my friend gave to me not too long ago when I was going along this journey as well, is he said, "Simon, what you're doing, does the difference make a difference?" I said, well, that's actually a really good question. You know, I've never really thought about that, but this one, no, it doesn't make a difference. So why are you doing it? Well, I don't know. So I stopped doing it. It's that type of questioning that really gets down to the root of what it is that you're doing and is it worthwhile. So if you want to study and you want the good grades, you need to do the things that are actually going to get you the good grades. If you were to get rid of everything else and you only did one thing, what's the one thing that would get you the good grade? Oh, now I know it. This is the one thing I couldn't get rid of. Right? Just do more of that and less of everything else, because I promise you that's what's going to get you the grade. And that's going to help you feel like your work and your effort is worthwhile. And now in terms of giving back to people, you need to find a way to make that intrinsically motivating. How is your studying, how is your work going to make a difference in the world? Because we all inherently want to matter and belong. It's one of the basic psychological needs. You need competence, you need autonomy, and you need relatedness. Competence, you're bettering your ability to solve problems. Autonomy, you're following your own path, right? You're making decisions in congruence with who you want to become. So both of those can be tied into work, but the main thing is relatedness, and this is the one that's harder to get from work. You know, the way I did it was I'm out here teaching you, helping you solve the problems that I wish I had known the answers to earlier in my first year of university, second year of university, now as a fourth year, I know, but I wish that I knew earlier. And so I'm trying to be the resource that I wish that I had and help you solve the problems that were so painful for me to go through that I don't wish that on my worst enemy. And if you forget everything else that I say today, if there's one thing that I would impart to you, it would be this. Motivation is not a requirement to start. Motivation comes from starting.